Arclight Station drifted like a bruised moon above a tired planet. Panels flickered. Pipes hissed. In the outer ring, the air smelled of rust, coolant, and old fear. Crowds moved like a slow current through a narrow market. Voices bargained in whispers. Lights buzzed and died, then buzzed again. Zara walked with her head low. Her daughter, Myra, held her hand. Myra's steps were small and careful. Her stomach growled. She did not complain. She only looked up with wide eyes and tried to be brave. Almost there, Zara said. Her voice was soft and steady, but her heart was not. It beat fast, like a warning bell. A sign flickered above a crooked doorway. Cade's Curios. The letters blinked in and out, as if they were shy. Zara pushed the door. A small chime rang, thin and tired. Inside, glass cases lined the walls. Old tools. Broken drones. Trinkets from long-ago ships. Everything smelled like metal and cleaning fluid, as if someone had tried to wipe away time and failed. Wait by the bench, Zara told Myra. Don't touch anything. Myra nodded and sat, folding her hands tight. Behind the counter stood a man with neat hair and calm eyes. He wore a tidy vest with polished buttons. He smiled the way doors sometimes close. Welcome to Cade's, he said. How may I help you today? Zara took a breath. She slipped a thin ring from her finger. A small red shard sat in its center. It caught the weak light and tossed it back in sharp, bright sparks. I need to sell this, she said. It is real. It was important. The last word tasted like salt. Cade lifted a monocle tool and leaned in. He turned the ring slowly, like he was turning a thought in his mind. Caspian shard, he murmured. Rare. Pretty. A memory with a price. He set the ring down and folded his hands. His smile did not change. I can offer you 50 credits. Zara kept her voice even. 50 will not feed a child for long. Cade tilted his head. There is another option. He tapped the counter. A private lounge. Clean. Safe. They need servers. Good pay. 500 credits in one night. You have the look for it. His gaze slid over her and then away, as if the look itself was a thing to sell. I am not looking for that kind of work, Zara said. It is only drinks and talk, Cade said smoothly. The Silver Eclipse. Very exclusive. Security is strict. No one touches staff without permission. He paused, then added, your ring can be a deposit. You will earn it back. Zara felt the station tilt under her feet. She saw Myra's bent head, the thin line of her shoulders. 50 credits meant one day and then another problem. 500 meant a door, perhaps 2 doors, opening. She hated that the numbers made sense. The lounge is safe? She asked. And there is a place for my child to sleep while I work? Staff quarters, Cade said at once. A bed. A lock. Food. You sign tonight, you start tonight. Zara closed her hand over the ring. It was warm from her skin. A memory of vows and a promise that turned into a cage. Slowly, she opened her hand and pushed the ring toward him. Write the address, she said. Her voice did not shake. Cade slid a slim slate across the counter. The Silver Eclipse, he said, writing with a sure hand. Ask for Mardell. Mention my name. He lifted the ring and tucked it into a drawer with a soft click. I will keep this safe until you return. Outside, the market was louder. Zara knelt to Myra's height. She smoothed a strand of hair back, gentle and quick. We are going to a new place, she said. There will be food. Will father find us? Myra asked. The question was a small knife. No, Zara said. This time the truth felt like a light switched on. He will not find us there. They walked. The corridor bent and bent again. The station groaned, a metal animal turning in sleep. Hollow posters peeled from walls. Ducks rattled. Somewhere, a baby cried and then went quiet. Zara held Myra's hand tighter and counted her steps. Behind them, in a shadow cut by a broken light, a human watched. He wore plain clothes and a face that did not give much away. His eyes were gray and steady. He saw the pawnshop. He saw the slate in Zara's hand. He saw the direction she chose. He did not follow. Not yet. The Silver Eclipse waited deeper in the ring, where the corridors were older and the vents breathed slow. Zara did not know its true purpose. She only knew hunger, and the number 500, and a door that might lead out. She walked toward it, a small figure under a failing sky of steel. The station watched and said nothing. The stars outside kept their distance, bright and cold and full of choices she had not learned to make. Yet, the The silver eclipse was not what Zara imagined. From the outside, it looked like a wound in metal. Its sign pulsed in violet haze, shimmering between letters that barely formed words. The air around the entrance was thick with perfume and old electricity. Inside, the world shifted. Hollow stars drifted across the ceiling, mimicking constellations that no one on Arclight had seen in generations. Music hummed, deep and slow, through the floor. Plush seats wrapped in shadow hid quiet deals and loud laughter. The place smelled of heat, spice, and something expensive trying to disguise decay. A towering alien stood near the entrance, skin like burnished steel, eyes slitted like blades. His badge read Voxen, security chief. "Tanner sent you?" he asked in a low growl. Zara nodded, her hand firm around Myra's. Voxen studied her and the small child for a moment that felt too long. Then he pointed toward a corridor. "Staff door on the right. The child stays there during your interview. No exceptions." Zara hesitated. She doesn't like being alone. "Rules," Voxen said. His tone left no space for motherly protest. Kneeling, Zara brushed a strand of white hair from Myra's face. "I'll be right back, Starlight. Don't open the door for anyone but me." Myra nodded, trying to be brave. Voxen led Zara deeper into the eclipse. The lights grew dimmer, the air thicker. He stopped before a heavy door marked private. Inside waited a broad alien with skin like molten copper and a smile that shone too wide. Gold tattoos traced his cheeks and neck, curling down to his heavy robes. "Mardell," he said, rising from behind a desk that looked older than the station itself. "You must be Tanner's recommendation." Zara forced a small bow. "I was told you might have work." He gestured for her to sit. "Yes, indeed. We always have room for someone elegant." His eyes moved like searchlights, cataloging everything about her: posture, voice, fear. "You'll serve drinks, engage in conversation, and ensure our guests feel valued. And in return, 500 credits per night. Lodging included. Meals for both of you." Zara clasped her hands together. "And what are the rules?" Mardell smiled again, slow and deliberate. "Simple ones. No communication with outsiders. No leaving the station without clearance. No refusals of reasonable client requests." Her stomach nodded. "Reasonable according to whom?" "According to me," Mardell said pleasantly. He reached into a drawer and drew out a garment, a translucent silver gown that shimmered like oil under light. "Uniform," he said. "You start tonight." Zara looked at it and felt something twist inside. She remembered the promise she had made to Myra. Somewhere safe, somewhere clean. This did not look like either. Yet hunger and desperation left no room for pride. She nodded once. "Understood." Mardell tapped a pad, transferring 50 credits to her account. "An advance," he said. "Just enough to remind you to come back." Hours later, the silver eclipse pulsed alive. Clients arrived in waves. Merchants, envoys, soldiers, faces blurred by luxury and liquor. Zara stood at the bar, the silver dress catching light with every breath. She balanced a tray of glowing drinks, her reflection scattered across mirrored walls. Every step felt like walking on edges. Then a voice, human and calm. "One Loomis draft. Table 7. She turned. The bartender nodded toward a shadowed booth at the far end. The man sitting there was unlike the others. No jewels, no smug grin, just quiet focus. His hair was dark, his eyes gray and tired. Zara carried the glass to him. "Your drink," she said. He smiled faintly. "Thank you." His tone was warm, almost kind. "First night." She blinked. "Is it that obvious? Everyone else here moves like they've given up. You still look like you're fighting." Zara tried to smile, but it trembled. "Maybe I am." The man gestured to the empty seat. "Sit for a minute. They won't notice." "I can't." "The manager." Mardell's busy arguing with suppliers. The man interrupted softly. "Trust me." Against her better judgment, she sat. The seat felt like a trap and a refuge at once. "My name's Jax Mercer," he said quietly. "You can call me Jax." "Zara." He nodded. "I saw you at Cade's earlier. That man's not just a merchant. He works for Mardell. The Silver Eclipse isn't just a lounge, it's a market. People go in and disappear." Zara's heart stumbled. "Disappear?" Jack slid something small across the table, a thin silver chip. "Take it. Don't look now. Hide it. It's proof." She slipped it into a hidden pocket she had sewn inside her dress, the one she'd made for smuggling food coupons. Her voice shook. Why are you telling me this? Because I've been investigating this operation for months, he said. And because you have a daughter who deserves a life outside this place. Zara stared at him. You're Alliance Security. Jack smiled, faintly. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just someone tired of watching monsters by Hope. Before she could respond, Mardell's voice thundered from across the hall. Zara, Table 3 needs service. She rose quickly, but Jax caught her gaze. When you're alone, check that chip. It'll tell you what to do next. And Zara, yes. Don't let them break you. She walked away, tray in hand, heart pounding. Behind her, music swelled. The lights flickered again. For the first time since stepping onto Arclight, she felt two things at once. Terror and the faint spark of something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. The next cycle on Arclight began like all the others. Red lights flickering, engines moaning somewhere deep in the metal bones of the station. But for Zara, everything felt different now. The chip hidden inside her dress burned against her skin like a secret that might save or destroy her. She served drinks. She smiled. She listened to alien laughter that never reached their eyes. But inside her head, one thought pulsed in rhythm with the music. What is really on that chip? When the last of the guests staggered out, Zara hurried back to the staff quarters. Myra was asleep on the narrow cot, her small hands curled beneath her cheek. The room was quiet, except for the hum of ventilation. Zara locked the door, sat by the console, and pulled the tiny chip from its hiding place. It slid easily into the port. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen flickered, and lines of encrypted text appeared. A small emblem of the Terran Alliance rotated slowly, like an eye watching her. Zara pressed open. Files spilled across the screen. Names, transactions, shipments. Pictures of women, men, and children cataloged like cargo. Next to each name was a price. Some files had red marks. Transferred. Others were labeled conditioned. Her stomach turned. Then came the voice, Jax's voice, recorded and calm. If you're seeing this, you already know what the Silver Eclipse really is. A front for trafficking. Cade and Mardell move people across sectors through private docks. I've been building evidence, but I need someone inside to confirm it. Meet me at 0300 hours, Maintenance Corridor 9C. Bring your daughter. And be ready to run. Zara leaned back, shaking. The words didn't feel real. The station hummed around her, its heartbeat mechanical and endless. Myra stirred in her sleep, whispering her mother's name. Zara turned off the screen. She had seen enough. But the door hissed open before she could even stand. Mardell stepped inside, followed by Voxen. His gold tattoos shimmered under the dim light. Up late, Zara. His voice was syrup hiding knives. I couldn't sleep, she said quickly. Her pulse raced. I was checking tomorrow's schedule. Voxen's eyes narrowed. He glanced at the console, still warm from use. Strange. That looks more like an information file than a shift list. Mardell smiled, a wide, terrible smile. Curiosity is dangerous here, my dear. It tends to shorten careers. Zara stepped in front of Myra protectively. She's asleep. Please. I said careers, not lives, Mardell said, almost kindly. Yet. He waved at Voxen. Take the device. Let's see what our new recruit was studying. Voxen reached for the console, but Zara grabbed the first thing within reach, a half-empty bottle of synth wine, and smashed it against the edge of the table. Glass scattered. Her arm trembled, but she held the jagged neck like a blade. Don't touch her, Voxen hissed, taking one step forward. You're brave, but stupid. Try me, Zara said, her voice low. Then chaos. The door burst open. A sharp voice cut through the tension. Station security, nobody move. Voxen turned just in time to see Jax in the doorway, pistol raised, armor gleaming faintly beneath his coat. Behind him stood another human, a woman with cropped hair and an Alliance badge. Mardell's face twisted. How did you? Been watching for weeks, Jax said. And recording everything. Zara froze. She had seen soldiers before, but this was different. Jax's eyes weren't cold. They were fierce and focused directly on her. Are you hurt? He asked. Zara shook her head. My daughter. The female officer moved quickly, scooping Myra into her arms. She's safe. Let's go, Mardell roared. Voxen lunged. A pulse blast filled the room with blue light. The alien stumbled backward, his scaled arm scorched. Sparks danced across the floor. Jax pulled Zara toward the corridor. Run! The alarms began screaming, red lights flooding every corner. Through the smoke, Zara saw Cade, the pawnshop owner, standing in the hall, eyes wide with fear and fury. He tried to block their way, shouting, "You can't stop this. You think you're saving her? She belongs to." Jax's fist silenced him. One clean strike. Cade fell, his words unfinished. They ran. Past flickering walls, past the smell of burning circuits. The whole station seemed to wake in anger. Zara clutched Myra close as the group raced through service tunnels. She didn't dare look back. Somewhere behind them, Mardell's voice bellowed orders. Somewhere ahead, Jax barked directions into his comm. "Docking route 2 is clear," the female officer shouted. Jax fired another shot behind them, forcing a group of guards to scatter. "Go! Go!" They turned a corner, the tunnel stretching into shadow. Metal rang beneath their boots. For the first time in weeks, Zara felt something like air filling her lungs. Not clean air, but real. Alive. As they ran, she risked one glance at Jax. His jaw was tight, his gray eyes locked forward. Every move was deliberate, calculated, human. And for a fleeting moment, she thought, maybe this is what hope looks like when it carries a gun. But deep in her chest, another voice whispered the truth. This was only the beginning. The tunnels of Arclight were a maze of iron lungs. Long, dark arteries pulsing with the thrum of ancient engines. The air smelled of heat, grease, and fear. Zara ran barefoot, her heels long gone. Myra clutched tight against her chest. Behind them, alarms howled like mechanical wolves. "Keep moving," Jax shouted over the noise. The blue light of his pulse pistol flickered against the walls, throwing shadows that danced like ghosts. The second Alliance officer, Keller, lagged slightly behind, watching their rear. Zara's heart hammered. "Where are we going?" "Dock 9, Jax said. "There's an Alliance shuttle waiting. But the Eclipse's security will try to cut us off first." The metal corridor trembled as distant explosions shook the station. Overhead, lights sputtered and died. Somewhere far away, a voice shouted orders in a guttural alien language. Zara stopped to catch her breath. "They'll follow. They'll never stop." Jax turned, eyes sharp. "They won't get to you. I promise." Keller placed a hand on Myra's shoulder. The ducts ahead split. "I can take her through the maintenance crawl space. Small, tight, but safer. You and Jax go the other way and draw attention." "No." Zara clutched her daughter closer. "I'm not leaving her again." Jax stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "Zara, look at me. That duct's the only path the Eclipse guards can't enter. Keller's trained for this. She's a child, and you're her mother," Jax said, his voice softer now. "That's why you have to let her go. You'll make it harder for both of you if you stay together." Myra looked up, small and brave. "Mama, it's okay. I'll go with the lady. I'll see you soon." Zara's lips trembled. She kissed her daughter's forehead, tasting tears she didn't remember shedding. "Be brave, Starlight. I'll find you." Keller nodded once and guided Myra toward the narrow duct. "2 turns left, then up," Jax said, checking his wrist tracker. "That'll lead straight to the ship." As Myra disappeared into the vent, Zara's body sagged as if her strength had gone with her. Jax caught her arm. "We move now." They ran again. The sirens grew louder, then cut abruptly, leaving behind a silence worse than noise. "A trap." Jax slowed, scanning the corners. "Something's wrong," he murmured. A red beam sliced the air where they had been seconds before, scorching the wall. Security drones dropped from the ceiling, eyes glowing like burning coals. Jax fired, his shots precise. Sparks showered. "Go, Zara." She ducked, sprinting down a narrow side tunnel. More drones descended, wings buzzing. One of them fired, grazing her shoulder with a burst of heat. She stumbled, but Jax was there, pulling her upright. Almost there. They burst through a service door into a wide maintenance bay filled with dormant cargo haulers. The floor was slick with oil. Jax led her behind a rusted transport frame. He pressed a code into his wrist unit. "Calling extraction team," he said, panting. 2 minutes. Zara leaned against the wall, trembling. "They'll kill us before then." Jax looked at her, his face lit by the faint blue glow of the weapon in his hand. "Then we make it count." Outside the bay, heavy footsteps echoed closer, the sound of armored boots. Jax crouched beside her, checking the remaining power cell of his pistol. Only 2 shots left. Zara whispered. You could still run. You don't have to die here. I've seen too many die while I watched, he said. Not again. The doors blew inward. Security guards stormed through, their rifles glowing. Jax fired the first shot, clean, deliberate. A guard fell. Zara grabbed a loose metal rod and swung as another soldier lunged close. The blow cracked against armor, sending him backward into the wall. Nice hit. Jax grinned, then ducked behind a crate as another volley of energy bolts screamed past. Zara crouched beside him, shaking but alive. The smell of ozone filled the air. How do humans keep fighting like this? She gasped. Jax reloaded. Because the moment we stop, someone else loses the chance to stand. A blast from the left knocked him off balance. Zara grabbed his arm and pulled him behind a loader machine. You can't do this alone. He smiled despite the chaos. You're here, aren't you? The line hit her harder than any explosion. She looked at him, sweat on his temple, eyes burning with purpose, and realized that he wasn't just fighting for duty. He was fighting for her. The communicator on his wrist buzzed. Extraction team inbound, a voice said. 2 corridors north. Move. Jax grabbed her hand, pulling her through the smoke. They sprinted between shattered crates and sparking wires. The bay doors loomed ahead, sealed tight, locked by the Eclipse system. Can you open it? Zara asked. I can try, Jax said, sliding a small hacking module into the control panel. Lights flickered, then steadied. It's coded, wait. A deep voice boomed from behind them. Going somewhere. Voxen stepped through the smoke, scales scorched, but eyes bright with fury. His claws gleamed wet red. You should have stayed a pretty decoration, little liar. Jax raised his gun. Voxen fired first. The bolt hit Jax's side, sending him sprawling. Zara screamed and reached for him, but Voxen grabbed her arm. I'll deliver you back to your master myself, he hissed. Zara twisted, kicking against his knee. Pain shot up her leg, but she didn't stop. Her hand found the fallen pistol. Without thinking, she fired. The blast struck Voxen in the chest. He stumbled backward, snarling, then collapsed against the wall with a sound like thunder. The door clicked open. Jax, pale and bleeding, forced himself to his feet. You did good, he rasped. Zara slipped under his arm, supporting him. We're not done yet. They stepped through the open doors into a wind tunnel that led to the outer docking ring. Beyond it, stars shimmered like promises waiting to be kept. Behind them, alarms wailed again. But this time, they sounded less like warning and more like surrender. For the first time since she'd come to Arclight, Zara felt something fierce ignite inside her. A quiet fire that whispered one word over and over. Freedom. The docking tunnels of Arclight groaned, as if the station itself were waking up to their escape. Every few meters, lights flickered, leaving stretches of darkness where anything could be hiding. Zara held Jax's arm around her shoulders, guiding him through the narrow corridor. His wound glowed faintly through torn fabric, a burning reminder of how close they'd come to losing him. Keep moving, he muttered, even as his steps faltered. We can't stop now. Zara tightened her grip. You can barely stand. He gave a half smile. You sound like Keller. Maybe she's right, Zara said. You humans, always pretending you're made of iron. Jax's laugh came out weak, but warm. We're made of something better. Stubbornness. The tunnel curved ahead. Through a viewing panel, Zara caught a glimpse of the stars, sharp, endless, and cold. For a moment, she let herself imagine stepping beyond them, leaving Arclight behind forever. Then the lights went red. A siren blared. A new voice echoed through the comm system, smooth, commanding, and painfully familiar. This is Lord Saran Vale of House Vale. All personnel are to stand down and detain 2 fugitives, a Terran agent and a Meridian female. They are to be taken alive. Zara froze. The sound of his voice pierced her like a blade of ice. Saran, her husband, the man she had fled. Jax saw the look on her face and understood. He's here, he said grimly. She nodded, her throat tight. He's not going to stop until he owns me again. Jax's hand tightened around his weapon. Then he'll have to go through me first. They turned a corner and stopped. A squad of armed guards blocked the passage, led by a figure she recognized instantly. Cade. His pristine uniform gleamed now with the insignia of House Vale. Well, Cade sneered. The runaway and her hero. You've caused quite the mess. Jax lifted his gun. Move. Cade raised an eyebrow. You're bleeding, human. Half your charge spent. You really think you can shoot your way out of this? I don't have to, Jack said quietly. She will. Cade's smirk faltered for half a second, and that was enough. Zara seized a loose support rod from the wall and swung it into the control panel beside the guards. Sparks exploded. The corridor lights died, plunging everything into darkness. Gunfire erupted. Bolts sizzled against metal. Zara ducked low, dragging Jax with her as energy fire illuminated fragments of chaos. Shouts, flashes, silhouettes. When the smoke cleared, Cade was down, a scorch mark across his chest, eyes wide in disbelief. Zara stared at him. He worked for my husband all along. Jax grimaced. He never sold rings, Zara. He sold people. She crouched, searching Cade's pockets. Her fingers brushed something familiar, a small red gemstone. Her wedding shard. She held it up, the crimson gleam reflecting in her trembling hand. Jax watched her carefully. You don't have to keep that. I know, she said, slipping it into her pocket. But I want to decide what it means this time. They pressed onward, the air around them hot with the smell of burnt circuitry. Jax's wound bled through his uniform, but he said nothing. His focus was iron, his determination the only light left in that dying corridor. Dock 7 is ahead, he said. If Keller made it, Myra should already be aboard. Zara's steps quickened at the mention of her daughter's name. Every sound in the tunnel became sharper, the creak of metal, the echo of boots, the hiss of coolant vents. But as they neared the junction, the door at the far end slid open with a hiss, and Saran Vale stepped through. He was taller than she remembered, his uniform immaculate, his expression carved from marble. 6 guards flanked him, their rifles gleaming. Zara, he said smoothly, you've been difficult to find. Jax raised his pistol. Don't take another step. Saran's pale eyes slid to him. And you must be the human who's been polluting my wife's mind with ideas of freedom. Tell me, does your kind always mistake defiance for courage? Zara stepped forward. Leave him out of this, Saran. This is between you and me. Oh, it's very much about him, Saran said, voice calm and poisonous. You see, rebellion is contagious. And you, he gestured at Jax with disdain, are the disease. Zara's jaw tightened. You talk too much. Then she moved. Her hand darted into her pocket. The gemstone flashed, red light cutting across Saran's face as she hurled it to the floor. It shattered, revealing a pulse device inside. Jax dove forward, grabbing her as the explosion burst, not to kill, but to blind. Smoke filled the tunnel. Jax fired twice. 2 guards fell. Zara kicked the weapon from another's hand and slammed her elbow into his chest. She wasn't graceful, but she was furious, and that was enough. They pushed through the smoke toward the emergency hatch. Saran's voice rose behind them, echoing with rage. You can run, wife, but the galaxy is small, and I own most of it. Zara didn't look back. Then, maybe it's time someone took a piece away from you. The hatch sealed behind them with a sharp hiss. Jax leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You really are full of surprises. Zara wiped sweat from her brow, trembling with adrenaline. You taught me well. He smiled faintly. I didn't teach you anything. You just remembered who you were. Outside the viewport ahead, the Alliance ship glowed like salvation. For the first time since Arclight's hollow streets, the stars no longer felt like cages. They looked like doors. Come on, Jax said. Let's finish this. Zara glanced back once at the locked hatch, where the faint echo of Saran's threats still lingered, then forward again at the waiting light. She whispered, half to herself, half to the void. He took my freedom once. He won't take it again. And as the docking clamps released and the floor trembled beneath their feet, Zara knew this wasn't escape anymore. It was war. The docking ring blazed with red alarms. Steam hissed from ruptured pipes, and the floor trembled under Zara's boots. The corridor ahead was lined with glass panels showing glimpses of the void, black space streaked with distant lightning from the planet's storming surface below. Jax limped beside her, pale but unbroken. We're close, he said. Dock 7's just beyond that security gate. Zara nodded. And Myra? Keller got her aboard the ship, he said. I confirmed the signal before we lost contact. Your daughter's safe, Zara. All we have to do now is get to her. That was all she needed to hear. But before they could move again, the station's loudspeakers cracked to life. carrying Saran Vale's voice, cool and composed as ever. To the Terran intruder and my wayward wife, this is your final chance. Return what is mine, and your deaths will be quick. The sound echoed down the hallway like poison in the air. Jax's jaw clenched. He's close. Zara took a breath and looked at him. Then we end it. They advanced through the smoke-filled corridor. Bodies of guards lay scattered from earlier explosions, victims of their own arrogance. Zara tried not to look at them, but one face caught her eye. Commander Prell, the head of Arclight's security, knelt beside the wounded, his weapon discarded. Prell, Jax shouted, lowering his weapon. You're still alive. Prell looked up, recognition flashing in his weary eyes. Agent Mercer. Lady Vale. Not that name, Zara said sharply. He nodded. Then just Zara. You should know. I'm not here for your husband's orders. I've seen what he's done. I've collected evidence. Everything. Zara's pulse quickened. You have proof. Prell held up a small data chip. Transactions, manifests, payments to station officials. Your husband owns half the trafficking network in this sector. I've been building a case for years, waiting for a moment like this. Then help us get to the ship, Jax said. Prell stood, his expression grim. I can open the gate, but once we're through, we'll be exposed. Vale's men control the outer ring. Then give me a weapon, Zara said, stepping forward. I'm done hiding. Prell hesitated, then handed her a sleek plasma sidearm. Safety switch here. Recoil's heavy. Zara took it. The weight felt strange, frightening, and right all at once. Good, she murmured. I need something to carry besides fear. Prell keyed the security console. The metal gate slid open with a scream of bending steel, revealing the vast, docking concourse beyond. Through the transparent walls, Zara saw the Terran Alliance ship, sleek, silver, haloed in blue thrusters. So close it felt like freedom you could touch. Then the air shimmered, and Saran Vale stepped into view. He was flanked by a half-dozen elite guards, their armor glinting gold and obsidian. His long coat swirled as he walked, eyes locked on her. Zara, he said softly, as if this were a private meeting and not a battlefield. You've embarrassed me enough. Zara raised her chin. You've done that yourself. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Do you know what makes you so predictable? You think rebellion makes you free. It only makes you mine longer. Jax aimed his weapon, but Saran lifted a hand. Shoot me, and my guards will open fire on the ship. Your daughter dies first. Zara froze. You wouldn't. He took a slow step forward. Try me. Jax's finger twitched on the trigger. Zara, he murmured. We need a distraction. She didn't answer. Instead, she slipped her hand into her pocket and brushed the cracked edges of her wedding shard, the one she had taken back from Kate. Her pulse quickened. An idea burned through the fog of fear. Saran, she said, stepping closer, lowering her weapon slightly. You want me? Then take me. Let the others go. Zara, no. Jax hissed. Saran smirked. There's the woman I remember, obedient at last. She kept walking. 1 step. 2. 3. When she was within arm's reach, she looked him in the eyes and said quietly, You're right. I was predictable once. Then she dropped the shard at his feet and stomped on it. The cracked gemstone sparked and exploded. Light flooded the corridor, blinding everyone. The shockwave knocked the guards to the ground. Jax grabbed Zara, dragging her down behind a barrier as debris rained around them. Go, Prell shouted, firing his rifle into the confusion. They ran, sprinting across the concourse as alarms screamed anew. Saran's men scrambled to recover. Through the haze, Saran himself rose slowly, smoke curling around his shoulders. His perfect composure was gone, replaced by something primal and furious. Zara, he bellowed. His voice echoed off the metal and glass. You can't escape me. Zara didn't look back. Her lungs burned, her legs screamed, but she kept running. Jax reached the docking bridge first, slamming his palm onto the control panel. The airlock hissed open. Get inside, he ordered. She stumbled through, collapsing against the wall. The Terran crew moved fast, sealing the hatch. Outside, Saran's guards fired at the ship, their bolts ricocheting off reinforced shields. Jax stood in the airlock doorway, eyes on the window. Saran's silhouette was framed by fire and fury, his hands glowing with the charged energy of his weapon. You'll never be free, Saran shouted, his voice muffled by the glass. Zara stepped beside Jax. For the first time, Her voice was calm. Watch me. The ship engines roared to life, shaking the entire ring. Saran staggered backward as the thrusters ignited, lights swallowing everything. The docking clamps released, and the Terran vessel drifted away from Arclight Station. Inside the ship, Zara sank into a seat, her hands trembling. Jax slumped beside her, clutching his wounded side, but his eyes were bright. Prell's transmission crackled through the comms. He's furious. But we've got his data. The Alliance will make sure he answers for all of it. Zara exhaled. The stars stretched before them, endless and untouched. Jax looked at her, half smiling. You blew up your wedding ring. Zara met his gaze. No, I buried it. He laughed, quiet and rough. Outside the viewport, Arclight shrank into a speck of light, fading behind them. For the first time, Zara didn't feel hunted. She felt alive. But deep in her heart, she knew Saran wouldn't stop. His kind never did. Still, as long as she breathed, she would never belong to him again. And this time, she wasn't running. She was choosing where to go. The Terran ship surged through the void like a silver arrow, leaving Arclight Station behind, a wounded husk drifting in silence. Inside, the lights dimmed to a calm glow. The air was clean, the hum steady. For Zara, it felt like stepping out of a storm into sunlight she hadn't known still existed. She sat in the med bay, her arm bandaged, watching through the transparent wall as Jax spoke with the ship's captain. His uniform was torn, his side still wrapped in pressure tape, yet he stood straight, the kind of man who refused to fall until everyone else was safe. Myra slept nearby on a small bunk, her hands still clutching the stuffed drone Keller had given her. Every few seconds, she stirred, mumbling in her sleep. Mama, stars. Zara smiled faintly. Stars. For the first time, the word didn't sound like a dream, it sounded like a destination. Jax entered the room quietly. Captain says we're clear. Vale's ships can't follow us into Alliance territory. For now, you're safe. For now, Zara echoed, her voice low. He hesitated. I know what you're thinking, that he'll come again. Zara looked up at him. He always does. Men like Saran don't stop because they're defeated. They stop because someone finally shows them what fear feels like. Jax smiled at that, a tired, proud smile. You're not the same woman I met in that pawn shop. No, she said softly. That woman sold her ring to survive. This one buried it to live. Jax pulled a small data chip from his pocket and set it on the table. Prell's transmission reached the Terran Council. The evidence you helped expose will bring Vale's empire down. You didn't just save yourself, Zara. You broke a chain that held thousands. Zara touched the chip, feeling its smooth surface. I didn't break it alone. He leaned against the wall, watching her. What will you do now? She looked at her sleeping daughter. I'll take her somewhere quiet. Maybe a colony world, where she can see real oceans. No cages. No titles. Just sky. Jax nodded slowly. That's a good plan. And you? She asked. He shrugged. Orders will come. They always do. The Alliance has too many shadows left to clean. Her gaze lingered on him. Maybe you should see an ocean too. You've earned one. For a moment, the hum of the engines was the only sound between them. Then Jax stepped closer, his voice low. You know, humans have a strange saying. Home isn't a place, it's a person. Zara tilted her head. And who taught you that? He smiled. A woman who threw away a life and found herself in the wreckage. She laughed quietly, the sound fragile and real. I'll remember that. The ship shifted, sliding into hyperspace. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into ribbons of blue and white. Infinity made liquid. Myra stirred and sat up, rubbing her eyes. Are we free now, Mama? Zara knelt beside her. Yes, Starlight. We're free. Will we see Earth? Zara hesitated, then looked at Jax. His expression softened. If that's where you want to go, he said. Myra grinned, curling into her mother's arms. I want to see oceans. Zara held her close. Then oceans it is. Jax turned toward the window, watching the stars elongate. You know, he said quietly. Back on Earth, they say every ocean reflects the sky. No matter how far you travel, you can still see the same stars. Zara joined him at the viewport. Then maybe freedom isn't running away, she murmured. Maybe it's remembering who you are, and never letting anyone take it again. Jax slipped an arm around her shoulders, careful and gentle. You sound like a philosopher now. I sound like a human, she said, smiling. He laughed, a deep, unguarded laugh that filled the small room with warmth. Outside, the stars burned bright and endless. Arclight was a distant memory now, just another point of light swallowed by the dark. But for Zara, that darkness no longer meant danger. It meant possibility. As the ship sailed deeper into hyperspace, she whispered to herself, and to the stars that had always been watching. I am not someone's property. I am not someone's mistake. I am free, and I will make the universe remember my name. And for the first time in her life, the universe seemed to listen.